Hey dear ladies, today I want to have a real talk with you. One that doesn't get discussed openly often, but definitely should. So, no matter where you are listening from, whether you're in your car, out for a walk with your headphones on, or curled up on your couch, I just want to thank you for giving yourself this time. Thank you for showing up for your relationships, for your personal growth, and for your understanding of the opposite sex. That's a rare thing right there. Now, let's dive into it. We often discuss what happens before sex, the flirting, the attraction, the build-up. We also talk about what happens during sex, the chemistry, the rhythm, the connection. But almost nobody talks about what happens afterward, and yet it's in that moment when the passion fades, when the lights dim and everything quiets down, that a different kind of vulnerability arises. One that isn't about the body, but about the heart. Here's something most women don't realize. For men, the time after intimacy is like a window into something deep and meaningful. It's when his emotional wiring activates in a different way. It's no longer about lust. It's about what he needs to feel safe, seen, and bonded. Sadly, most men have been taught to stay quiet about it, to retreat, to put the walls back up too quickly. That's why I want to talk to you today about what men truly need after sex. Because when you understand these things, not only will you be meeting him on a physical level, but you'll also be connecting with him emotionally. And most women don't even realize they hold that key. These next 5 things might seem simple, but they are incredibly powerful. They can be the difference between a man feeling satisfied and a man feeling emotionally connected to you. Once you start offering him this kind of love, you'll notice something beautiful happening. He'll open up more, he'll lean in deeper, and he'll feel safer in your presence than he has with anyone else before. Let's explore the 5 things men crave after sex but rarely express. When we talk about what men need after sex, many people immediately think of the physical. Maybe he wants to sleep, or he wants some space, or he wants food or quiet, or just a disconnect. That's the common stereotype. And while every man is different, one thing is often true underneath all of that. He needs emotional safety. He may not ask for it, he might not even realize it consciously, but it's there, it's real, and it matters more than most people understand. Here's the thing. During sex, a man can feel more vulnerable than he does at almost any other time, but not in the usual sense of vulnerability. It's not just about being naked or experiencing pleasure. It's about the moment after, because in that moment, everything slows down. There's no performance left, no role to play. The walls come down, and suddenly he's there with you, unarmored, raw, open, perhaps even emotionally exposed in a way he hasn't been in a long time. For many men, especially those raised to suppress their emotions, physical intimacy is often the only safe pathway into emotional intimacy. It's not that they're using sex as a substitute for affection. It's that sex becomes the one moment they allow themselves to soften, and when it's over, that softness lingers. With it comes a need, a deep, silent longing to still be held, not just by your arms, but by your understanding. Emotional safety in that moment doesn't need to be a big grand gesture. It's subtle. It's your presence. It's the way you stay close instead of rolling over or rushing to get up. It's the look you give, the gentle touch, the breath that says, I'm still here with you, not just physically, but emotionally. It tells him that he hasn't just been desired, he's still safe in your energy, still accepted in his most bare, honest, unguarded form. Think about what the world tells men every day. Be strong, be stoic, be in control. For many men, sex becomes the only place where they're allowed to feel something deeper without being judged for it. So when it's over and you show him it's okay to stay open, that he doesn't have to immediately go back to being the man, it's transformative. It gives him permission to be all of himself, not just the provider, not just the seducer, not just the protector, but the sensitive, emotional side of him that rarely gets the chance to show up. Here's what emotional safety can look like in that moment. It's staying in the afterglow instead of rushing to get dressed or grab your phone. It's holding eye contact for just a few more seconds. It's silence, but an intentional silence. Not the kind where you check out, but the kind where your presence is still deeply felt. It's a soft smile, a gentle kiss, your head resting on his chest. Not because you have to, but because you want to. It's the reassurance that nothing has changed now that the act is over. You still want him, still like him, still feel close to him. This becomes especially powerful when a man is falling in love or already deeply cares for you. Because after sex, his biggest fear isn't about performance, it's about connection. Does that mean something to her? Does she still feel close to me? Is she still emotionally present? Or has she already left mentally, emotionally, energetically? When you offer emotional safety in that moment, you answer those questions without saying a word. You create a space where he doesn't feel the need to pull away, crack a joke, or go cold just to protect himself. He can stay in that vulnerable state and feel secure doing so. And for many men, that's rare. It's a gift. And when a woman gives it to him without expectation or pressure, it leaves a mark, not just in his memory, but in his heart. Emotional safety after sex doesn't mean coddling him. It doesn't mean taking on his emotions or babysitting his inner world. It simply means being present in a way that makes him feel like he's not alone, that he hasn't been judged, and that the most honest version of him, the one that showed up when everything else fell away, is welcome with you. Once he experiences that, he won't forget it. He'll crave that space again and again, not because of the sex, but because of the safety he felt after it. And when a man feels emotionally safe with you, his attachment to you deepens, not just in a romantic sense, but in a soulful one. You become not just the woman he wants to touch, but the woman he trusts, the one who gets him, the one who sees past the surface. And that's intimacy at its highest level. If there's one thing men rarely admit out loud, it's how much they crave affirmation from the woman they care about. We often think of men as self-contained beings who just know they're doing well, who feel confident all the time, who leave intimacy with a mental checklist like, yep, I nailed it. But the truth is, most men walk away from sex with a dozen unspoken questions running through their minds. Did she feel close to me? Did she enjoy that? Did I make her feel good? Was I enough for her? This is where gentle affirmation becomes so powerful. Not forced, not over the top, not performative, just a soft, honest moment of reassurance that says, you mattered to me in that moment. You made me feel good. I'm glad I shared that with you. That kind of affirmation doesn't just stroke his ego. It touches something much deeper. It speaks to a man's desire to be valued, not just desired for his body or his performance, but appreciated as a person who gave, who showed up, who let his guard down. Men may not always say it, but when they deeply care about someone, their biggest fear after sex is disconnection. They fear that what just happened didn't leave a lasting impression on you, that it was just a fleeting act, that maybe you're mentally elsewhere. So when you offer gentle affirmation, when you look him in the eyes, smile, and let out a soft, that felt so good, or I love how connected I feel to you right now, it does something extraordinary. It tells him he mattered in that moment, that he didn't just show up physically. You noticed his energy, his presence, the emotion behind his touch. When a man is in love or even just emotionally invested, sex becomes a performance only if he doesn't know where he stands. But when you affirm him gently, he can breathe. He can stop wondering, stop overthinking, stop second-guessing every move. It gives him the space to feel proud, not because he performed, but because he made you feel something meaningful. And to a man who truly cares, that's everything. This kind of affirmation doesn't have to be verbal either. It can be the way you cuddle into him afterward, the way you softly squeeze his hand, the way you rest your head on his chest, like you're at home there. These small gestures whisper something that words often can't. I feel safe here. I feel close to you. I feel good in your presence. That kind of emotional signal goes straight to his heart, because contrary to popular belief, men don't just want to feel sexy, they want to feel significant. They want to know they still matter to you even when the passion quiets down. And gentle affirmation does exactly that. It says, I see you, I feel what you just gave, and I appreciate it. This is especially important when a man is emotionally invested but doesn't yet know how to express it. He might not say the words, I love you, easily. He might not be comfortable with long emotional conversations. But when you affirm him in those quiet, intimate moments after sex, you give him emotional language without him needing to speak it. You build his confidence not through flattery, but through intimacy. And remember, this isn't about inflating his ego or pretending to feel something you don't. It's about presence and authenticity. If something felt good, tell him. If you felt emotionally close, show him. If his touch made you melt, let your body language reflect that. These are not small things. These are the building blocks of emotional connection, the kind that stays long after the physical part is over. When you're able to express gratitude and appreciation, you reinforce to yourself that this experience was more than just physical. You open up space for emotional intimacy to grow. You strengthen the connection by softly and honestly speaking the truth of what you felt, without fear. And here's what's truly beautiful. The more emotionally safe and affirmed a man feels after sex, the more he wants to give to you emotionally. The more open he becomes, the more he lets you into parts of him that most people will never see. Why? Because you didn't just notice the man, you recognized the heart behind him, and you made him feel like he was enough. So if you want to make a man crave you emotionally as much as he craves you physically, don't underestimate the power of gentle affirmations. It's one of the sexiest, most soul-deep gifts you can give him, and it costs absolutely nothing. There's something incredibly powerful about the kind of touch that happens after sex. The kind that says, I still want to be close to you, even when the heat has faded. For many men, this is one of the most emotionally grounding experiences they can have. And yet it's something that is often overlooked or replaced too quickly by distractions, movement, or emotional detachment. And here's what most people don't realize. For a man, physical intimacy isn't just about climax. It's about connection. And after sex, when the rush fades and reality begins to settle back in, the way a woman interacts with him in that moment can say more than words could ever do. When a woman offers gentle, intentional, and affectionate touch with no expectation, with subtle emotional reciprocation attached, it creates a completely different kind of intimacy. This kind of touch is not about starting round two. It's not about signaling desire or trying to get anything in return. It's about saying, I want to stay close to you. I want to enjoy this moment with you. I want to rest here with you. Not because I need something else, but because I genuinely care for you. And when that happens, when a man feels touch that is free from pressure, free from demand, and rich with warmth, something inside him softens. It creates space for him to be emotionally present. It allows him to relax into the moment without fear of expectation. It tells him, you're still enough for me right now, even if nothing else happens. This could be as simple as running your fingers through his hair, resting your hand on his chest, wrapping your leg around his, or softly tracing your fingers along his arm. It's slow, it's calm, it's affectionate, without an agenda. And for a man who's deeply into you, it speaks volumes. Here's why this matters. So many men have been conditioned to believe their value is tied to what they do, how they perform, how they provide, how they please. But when a woman touches a man after sex in a way that's purely affectionate, it cuts through that conditioning. It reminds him that he's appreciated just for being there. It builds trust, it deepens connection, and it anchors him in the moment with you. Sometimes after sex, the most meaningful thing you can do is nothing loud or dramatic, but simply stay close, stay warm, stay connected, touch him like you still want him, even when the moment of passion has passed. That's the kind of intimacy that lingers. That's the kind of physical closeness that makes a man feel wanted, valued, and emotionally seen. And the more you practice this kind of touch, the more emotionally open he'll become, because he won't just crave your body, he'll crave your energy, your presence, your calm. And that's what keeps him coming back, not just for sex, but for you. One of the most underrated and deeply intimate moments between two people happens not in words, not in movement, and not even in touch, but in silence. A quiet connection. That moment after sex when nothing needs to be said, when there's no pressure to perform, no need to entertain, no rush to fill the space. It's just you and him, lying together in stillness, and yet everything is being said without a single word. For a man who's deeply in love or falling for you, this kind of quiet connection after sex is powerful. You see, men don't always know how to process emotions in real time. They feel deeply, but many of them were never taught how to communicate what's going on inside. So, when they find themselves lying next to someone they care about, someone who doesn't rush to break the silence or overanalyze what just happened, it gives them space to feel. It gives their heart room to catch up to what just took place. This silence is not empty. It's full. It's an emotional exhale, a safe zone, a moment where he can lay his guard down without having to explain himself. He doesn't have to say, "That meant something to me." He doesn't have to say, "You make me feel peaceful." He doesn't have to say anything at all, because in that stillness, he knows you feel it too. Maybe you're lying on his chest and listening to his heart. Maybe you're lying back to back, but your hands are barely touching. Maybe you're facing each other with half-closed eyes and a lazy, content smile on your lips. Whatever form it takes, that quiet connection becomes a language of its own, one that says, "We're okay. I'm still here. This meant something." And for a man, that's everything. Because so often, men worry that sex is just a transaction, that it's just a moment and then you'll be gone. But when you stay in silence, when you lean into the quiet and let the emotion breathe, it reassures him. It tells him you're not just there for the high, you're there for him, for the stillness, for the soul underneath all of it. That moment of quiet connection is where emotional bonds are strengthened. It's where real intimacy grows, not in the fireworks, but in the stillness after the storm. And it's not about what you say next, it's about what you're both willing to feel in the quiet together. That's the moment he remembers long after the physical fades. That's the moment he replays in his mind when he misses you. That's the moment that tells him without a doubt, she sees me, she feels what I feel, and she's not afraid to just be here with me. And in that shared silence, love finds room to grow. One of the deepest desires a man has, especially when he's emotionally invested, is to feel that what he gives to you emotionally is felt and returned in some way. Not always with grand gestures, not with over-the-top declarations, but with subtle signals that let him know you're with him emotionally, not just physically. And it's in those quiet, intimate moments after sex when this kind of emotional reciprocation means the most. You see, sex, particularly when love is involved, isn't just a physical act for men. It's often where they allow themselves to be most emotionally exposed. And for a man, that vulnerability isn't always easy. Many men are used to showing strength, being in control, being the one who gives and protects. But in the bedroom, when he lets his guard down, when he opens up, he's stepping into emotional territory. Even if he doesn't fully know how to articulate it, that's where subtle emotional reciprocation becomes everything. After sex, a man may not say the words, "I need to feel connected to you emotionally right now," but that's often what his heart is quietly asking for. He's wondering, did she feel what I felt? Did it mean something to her too? Did she just let me in, or was she somewhere else in her head? This is where the small things matter. The way you look at him, the soft smile, the way you reach out and touch his arm without being asked, the tone of your voice when you whisper something light or loving. These aren't random actions, they're signals. Gentle emotional mirrors that reflect back to him, "I'm here with you. I'm still connected to you. You weren't alone in that moment." Subtle reciprocation doesn't mean you have to match his every move or overthink your response. In fact, when it's too calculated, it loses its magic. The power lies in the natural, authentic warmth that comes from you. When you genuinely feel close to someone, that energy, that softness, that openness, it shows without needing words, and he feels it. What most women don't realize is how deeply men watch for these things, especially after intimacy. He may not say it, but if you gently kiss his shoulder, pull him closer, or simply let yourself relax into him, he feels reassured. It's a confirmation that he's not alone in his emotional experience, that you were just as present, just as moved, just as affected, and that feeling, that makes a man fall. That makes him feel emotionally safe with you in a way that very few people make him feel. So don't underestimate the small gestures. Don't think you need to say the perfect thing or make some dramatic declaration. Just be there. Let your energy match the emotional intimacy you just shared. Show him in your own way that his vulnerability was not just seen, it was met with yours. And in that mutual vulnerability, that subtle emotional reciprocation, real love begins to take root. So here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Sex is not the end of intimacy. It's the beginning of a deeper emotional moment. And the way you show up after that moment matters far more than you might realize. Because for a man who truly cares about you, what happens after sex tells him everything he needs to know about where he stands with you. Whether this is just about the physical or whether he's found something real. He doesn't always have the words for it, but he feels it. He notices whether you stay close or pull away. He feels it when your touch lingers without expectation. He feels it when your silence is safe and full of warmth, not distance. He feels it when you meet his vulnerability with your own subtle affection, when you reciprocate, not with pressure, but with presence. That's what he needs. Not perfection, not a script, just you, real and connected. When you understand that sex isn't just about passion, but about emotional timing, when you realize that those few minutes after intimacy are a window into his heart, you stop missing those small, golden opportunities to bond with him in a way that makes him feel safe, seen, and emotionally held. And when a man feels that way with a woman, he doesn't just desire her, he respects her. He values her. He starts to feel that this is different. This is where he belongs. So, the next time you're lying there with him, remember your presence is more powerful than you think. Your warmth has more impact than you know. And your emotional availability in that quiet, tender moment might just be the very thing that makes him fall in love with you a little more. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more insights like this, real tools to build deep connection and irresistible confidence in love, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the community. We're doing love better here.